Welcome to Commander's Comments. I'm your producer for the evening, Moose. I want to welcome everybody back to SCV Chat, uh, and I'm proud to introduce tonight's host, our Chief of Heritage Operations, Mr. Ron Kennedy.
Thank you, Moose. We appreciate it. This is our fourth, if my count is correct, the fourth time we've done the fourth monthly Commander's Comment. This is our opportunity at the national level to talk to our members, to our supporters, to our friends, and let them know what's going on at the national. And we're going to let you hear from the chief. The not just chief, the commander-in-chief, Jason Boshers. Jason, good to see you again, my friend, Commander. Glad to have you on board. Before we get started, I do want to make a quick announcement because I had a couple of telephone calls today from some fine folks in Alabama. They were trying to join or renew their Confederate Legion membership, and another camp wanted to make a donation, and they went to the Make Dixie Great Again website, clicked on, did all the things, and they got to the page where you should rejoin and make your credit card payment, and it was a mess. And so I went on and checked it out, and they're right. They weren't lying. It was a mess. And so I immediately got a hold of the Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief, who then got a hold of Ray Shores, and Ray said that they are working. They were aware of it. They are working on it, and hopefully they will be able to get it back online. But if anyone wants to donate, if you just want to make a donation, you can go to the SCV website, SCV.org. Go to the website. There's a section for donations. Hit that donation. Go down the menu, and you'll see a place where you can make Confederate Legion donations. So if you're just making a donation, but if you need to join or join up or rejoin, and if you're having trouble, send me an email. And Moose, if you don't mind, put that email for the Confederate Legion up so people can there it is, CL Legion or Confederate Legion, C Legion at Reagan.com. Just say, send me a message, Ron, I'm trying to join, I can't get it, and I'll send you the information on how you can join, how you can get your payment made. And I apologize for the problem, but we are working on it. And thank you, kind folks from Alabama, to let me know about it for the problem. All right, Commander, what do you got on your mind? Have you been doing anything at all for this past month? You and I have been on the phone, texting, and talking all month long. It's been a busy month. Tell everybody what's been going on.
Well, it has been a very busy month, and first I'd like to touch on what you were talking about, considering the Confederate Legion. That the Confederate Legion serves a very, very useful purpose, and I want anybody who can join that to join that, and anybody who can support it to support it. I do, however, understand about things going awry and things haven't been a mess. I retired as a mainframe systems programmer, so computer nerd, if you want to call it that. So I'm used to messes happening, and I understand y'all having to work through it, and y'all be patient. Let's let the Kennedy crew getting everything going, then we'll be back where we need to. I can tell you, if you want to know, there's two major things that have been going on. One of them has been constant and is going to continue to be constant, and that is a lovely asset that we have, a lovely structure that is ours, called the Confederate Museum, the National Confederate Museum. Right now, people all the time ask how are things going with the museum. Artifacts are coming in very regularly. If anybody was on Thursday night, you heard Adam talk about everything going on with the Hearth and Home. Artifacts are still coming in. The Raphael Sims Camp, Joe Ringhofer, and that group, they made a wonderful donation. There was it was a flag that had flown from 1910 over one of the that flag right there is the flag out of Jacksonville, Florida. That's the coffin flag out of Jacksonville, Florida. I'll just go ahead and tell y'all what's fixing to happen here. I've been in the museum quite a bit lately. As you know, we're constantly working on things, and these are pictures that I've taken, and I've just sent them to our producer so he can flip through them so y'all can hear what we're talking about. You're going to see artifacts inside the museum. You're also going to see the inside of Elm Springs, because right now we're getting ready for the Christmas home tour. And the inside of the house has been as it would have been decorated from that time. Now you see a lot of the decorations, and they're, you know, 10-foot trees, 12-foot trees with all the stuff hanging on. At the time in 1850, which is the time we're setting for the house, 1840 to 1860, that time that we're setting there, you would not have had a big monster of a tree. You would have had decorations, but it wouldn't been anything like what people see now, with the great big structures outside and the lights flowing everywhere. First of all, they didn't have that. But there's a lot of things that's going on with the museum. I still want to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it because the museum is an asset to our corporation. There comes a time when you're at the level that the Kennedys are, and I hate to say this, but Confederate veterans, it is a business. And we have to treat it like a business, and we have to run it like a business. And we have to take a look at the museum, and is it coming along the way we want? Are we doing the right things with it? Today we had 50 people come in on a bus tour, and they toured the museum, and these were people who had not been here before, and they were just doing a tour.
Where were they from? Do you know? Were they local?
They were from East Tennessee and Upper Middle Tennessee. Okay. It was most of them, I'm going to say, were out of Wilson County and maybe even up on the plateau. And they were just one of these groups, that get together, get a bus and go somewhere. And they happened to pick Middle Tennessee. They made a stop at the Polk Home, which is there in Columbia, and then they were going to the Athenaeum, and then they were coming to Elm Springs, and they toured the home, and they toured the museum, and all of them said that they were so surprised to know that this was even here. They hadn't heard of it. But of all the people that I talked to, there was one gentleman that said that he was an SCV member. And he knew about the museum. He knew about everything, but he had not been there since the last time he was in the museum hadn't even been built. Wow. And for him to come and see it and walk through it and say, this really looks like a nice museum, and these are groups of people. This is what they do, is go and tour. So that tells us that we're on the right track. And Jimmy Hill is and Robert Julson, they've done a fantastic job of getting everything put up around the walls. I know they're still waiting on me to turn in my piece where I'm talking about the monuments and the memorials. And I have written it, but I haven't completed it. And as you know, you can talk to Frank Powell about some of this. Sometimes I go sliding in on two wheels, getting it in there on time. And it has actually been something that has been difficult to write. And the reason why is keeping it all. There is so much misinformation. Let me start it with that way. You cannot go and do a Google search and get accurate information about any of these memorials, statues, monuments that have been taken down. The media has been it's just extremely misleading. So you really have to start digging into some very scarce resources and trying to find it and find out when things were actually done, how things were handled. And that's been difficult. And then I'm like everybody else. I get emotionally attached to these things. And I go, okay, I have to step back and I have to write something that's factual and not make sure that I keep my opinion out of everything. And I just write the true story as it is supposed to be. And then keep it within the guidelines that Jimmy Hill has told me to keep it in, number of words, everything else. And Forrest Dawes is correct. It is an extremely wonderful education tool, and is supported. The impact can be tremendous. Yes, it is, because this is one of the only places that anything that we're talking about is ever going to be told. Yes, sir.
And that's why it's so important for us to eventually spend some major bucks on national advertising, that we advertise the museum. We're not going to wave rebel flags on CNN or anything, but we are going to advertise this nationally, because we need people from all over the country, number one, to know about it, because they don't know about it, and then to come and visit, because they come and visit and they see. And I know when Donald and I were doing the Reconstruction timeline, you're lucky you didn't have a twin brother to argue with you all the time about what we need to put up, because his ideas were so much better than mine, and I knew better than that. So,
Oh yeah.
but the big thing is you have literally more information than you can put up. And you can't do all words. You got to have pictures and graphics and that kind of stuff.
Oh yes.
So it's a major task, and I admire. I know Carl Jones has done some. I don't know. I wish I knew the names of everyone that has contributed to that timeline, because that's a tremendous job. There's been a lot, because personally, and Donald and I know personally what it takes to get that done. And of course, God bless Jimmy Hill for getting it up, helping us and out, and keeping us running straight on it.
Oh yes, and you're right. Jimmy Hill will keep you running straight. I will hear from Jimmy. Where do you stand on this? And you touched on something. What do you put in? What do you leave out?
Yeah,
because there is so much. And all of us know. And there's people that have walked around in the museum and they've read the timeline, and you would see some people go straight to a year and they look to see if their battle was on the timeline.
Yeah.
And then they go, well,
you left
what's on there. Yeah. And we can't put anything, so, okay, what do you put in? What do you leave out? But that also means that as this thing changes, and it's going to be able to change, as you know, what's put on the wall, we could at some point in time rewrite that one section, put some things in there that were not in there before, and swap that panel out. Yes, sir.
And the fact that once we get these QR codes up, we're going to have videos, and we can change those videos out. So there's just tremendous possibility. I think a lot of people don't realize you can take your cell phone and walk around, and there's a QR code on the Battle of Pleasant Hill, which one of my favorite, but not that I'm biased or anything, but the Battle of Pleasant, you put your phone up that QR code and it'll give you about a 5-minute video about the Battle of Pleasant Hill. So you can't write all that on the wall, but you can do it in these videos, and then you can change them out. Instead of Pleasant Hill, we'll do the Battle of Mansfield. We'll do the Battle of Baton Rouge. The war did occur in the Trans-Mississippi as well, so we want to get all that in as well. It's not just Virginia, although I'm not taking anything away from the Virginians, because a lot of Louisiana boys are buried up there.
Yes. And the war went everywhere. Exactly. You got to talk about Glorietta Pass as well as you talk about Gettysburg. You have to talk about them because our guys were involved. And so this is one of those things that's going to change. And like I said, you have people come in, they focus on, and then you'll see people walking through and they'll read panel by panel. This is an opportunity. Well, we'll use today, for example. The people that came were the tour group that would go and see an old home.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they come to see the old home, and then here is this. So they come for it, and then they get to see the museum, and they see a part of history. They were walking around. They did not have very long there. And part of that was touring the home, and they had lunch there, and then they went and toured the museum. So they did not get a whole lot of museum, but they were all over it. And taking it up, other museums are going to a multimedia platform. Yes, he is correct. Where you're going to go in, you're going to have the QR codes, you're going to have videos. Might even do one of these things in time where you have an app, and you can even download the app and walk through and listen to different things. But it's actually kind of progressing past that at this point. But that is something that we could look at. But one of the things that we were talking about, and okay, I'm going to talk about this picture here. The way the sun comes through, as you know, that is our corporate logo that's on the back wall of the museum. And as the sun passes through, this time of year, it is quite low. As you know, we're getting very close to that to the lowest part. And it was shining over the artifacts and on the flags and everywhere else. It was a very beautiful sight when the sun is out like it was today. But the museum is, first of all, it's going to be where everything's going to be told. The entire truth is going to be told. But what I'm finding out, and you just heard Mr. Kennedy talk about it, is the need for advertising. This is going to be an opportunity for us to do advertising that will be just for the museum. And it is, and if you look at it from one point of view, when we're always talking about taking back the narrative. Well, we can take back the narrative, but if we use, I'm not going to say but, I'm going to change that to however. However, if we use the museum the way it should be used, this is going to be so much more than taking back the narrative. This is going to be perpetuating the true story of the plan. That is how I see the museum. So to me, it is our bedrock. It is our platform. It is our asset that we have now built. We have now put artifacts in it. Yes, we still need to pay for it. Yes, you're going to start getting the letters again. They're going to be in the upcoming January and February Confederate Veteran Magazine. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you something. When we looked at the last 3 years of the donations that have come in from that letter and from everything else, it has been over $1 million. So over $1 million has come in over a 3-year period. And at that pace, we're going to be very successful. And we're wanting, and it's like everything else. You want to pay your house off early. You want to pay your credit card off early. You want to pay all of these things off early because you have other things you need to do. And the other things that we need to do is we need to have a fund to where we can be able to purchase artifacts when they come up. We need to have a fund that if we end up, somebody donates us a flag, well, it's going to take $50,000 to redo this flag. Well, we need to have a fund set aside there to tend to that. Now, the problem that happened is if you have the monthly payment that we have, if you have any extra cash, well, you're going to put it toward taking care of your debt. Yeah. You're not going to go out and do other things with it. So this is one of those things that we're going to have to do. And James Patterson is correct. We're going to have to do this. We're going to keep pushing it. I know you're going to get tired of it, but think about this as being an asset that is going to represent the true Southland, because we're starting in 1607 with the story all the way up to modern times. So it is going to cover everything having to do from the founding of this nation all the way through the war to your ancestors. And you say, well, what can I do? People say all the time, what's National doing? Well, National stays busy. I mean, we're working on things like this. And then people sometimes say, well, what can I do? Well, there's a lot of things that an individual can do. First of all, remember, the entire power of this organization is with the person. The person. You are the most powerful entity in this organization, the human being, the power of one. And, if you have something you want to do, well, what can I do to contribute to the museum? And, don't think that, okay, I'm going to have to make a big donation. No, you don't. You don't. There is no donation too small. In fact, you have the capability of going out there and setting up a monthly withdrawal. And, say you're going to donate $5 a month.
Right.
Okay. We've all heard of the Tunnel to Towers and how that gentleman goes through and he raises his money, and it's people paying $19.95 a month. Those are, how do you do it off $19.95? Well, if you have people that donate $19.95 a month and they have it automatically withdrawn, okay, well, in time that's going to take care of it. But I really want to focus on the museum because I see that as a keystone, as a cog, as a major piece for us going forward. Yes, sir, Mr. Kennedy.
I should say that the museum can be used at the local level as well. And
Yes.
That's something that we'll talk about. Hopefully we'll have time. We may not, but the local camps can do a lot to help educate the local community. But one of the things we need to do is make sure that our key agents of influence in our community know about this. And I made the mention the other night on SCV chat, I think, but maybe there's another point. But anyway, I want to have a way that I can purchase a half a dozen tickets to the Confederate Museum and have it an e-ticket, and then I can send that to the head of the Kiwanis clubs here in Mandeville, and send another one to the head of the Knights of Columbus, and send another one, so I've got, and then my camp can get involved and they can do the same thing. So number one, we're selling tickets. Well, yeah, big deal. That's like a donation, but we got a ticket now that they can use, or any of their friends, if they want to give it to a friend, can use to come to that museum. Even if they don't use the ticket, they find out about the museum, the Sons of Confederate Veterans. Of course, we'll have a real nice QR code. They'll have a nice video about the museum. So this is a way you can do a soft sale of the Sons of Confederate Veterans, our Southern heritage, and get out ahead of Antifa and the NAACP and the Black Lives Matter and the liberal press. You can get out ahead of them, and it will make an impact. I just think it's a wonderful thing. We've got a great tool. We need to advertise it nationally, but we also must use our internal lines of communication. We are the local. We may not have a George Soros to fund us, but we got something better than that. We've got the people at the local level, most of whom believe in what we believe in. We just got to get our message out. And this museum can be a key part of that. Somebody get a free ticket to a museum to see, and they got a QR code, they can look at it. Even if they don't use it, they'll talk about it.
Yes, you're right. And even if they do use it, let's just say they gave it away. Whoever they give it to might come see it, and okay, we might not gain any memberships out of it. Somebody might say, well, how many members did you get? It's not always about how many members you get. It's how people learn about you, learn who you are, learn what you're doing. Some SCV camps are already doing some soft sell efforts, and good for them. You are correct. They are. And since I was talking about that, the museum is also a recruitment tool. There have been a lot of people that have come in and say this. There was a gentleman that left today, and he had one, and he had an application for him and his son. And he's saying, I know we have Confederate ancestors, and we're going to be getting in touch with people. And So yes, it is a recruitment tool. And as you saw people coming in today, a 50 people bus tour come in. So it's a tourism track, attraction. And then I was speaking to the lady that was responsible for the tour, and she goes, well, we think that we're going to start making y'all a primary stop.
Good.
And the reason why is instead of them just having 2 hours there, and 2 hours is the house, the museum, and lunch. As you know, 2 hours, the house, museum, and lunch, you're not going to have enough time. But making them a primary stop like it is, it's a 4 hour. They get there at 10, and we feed them lunch at 11:30, and then they leave at 2. So they're going to turn us into a primary stop because we have improved the museum so much. And that's to thank all of the people that have made the donations, your Jimmy Hill and Robert Schillens that are doing the work. That's the reason why that this is growing the way that it is. So we have tourism, we have recruitment. Yes, sir. You wanted to say
I was just
something?
going to say another good thing about working locally and promoting it, the museum locally, is that every parish and county has businesses that are Confederate friendly, but because of the current environment, that they are sort of afraid to do anything or say anything or let anybody know. But once we get this word out and we talk to these agents of influence, we send them our information, these free tickets, you're going to see some corporations come April the 15th, businesses that say, well, I need a little tax write-off, and I like what these people are doing. You're going to see that there's a source of funding that we don't now have. These aren't members, but these are organizations, businesses that will contribute to a good tax-exempt cause. And
Yes.
So, again, it all works together if we'll do it and do it right.
And you're correct. And that's something I would love for everybody to remember. We are a 501c3. We could be tax exempt for your donation. I'm not going to be able to come out and say you're going to be able to deduct it, because you're going to have to work through your accountant to see if you can do that. So don't, well, he said that I can deduct this. Okay. You're going to have to look at your deductions and all of that other stuff yourself. But we are, and as you know, we are a C3. And as we're approaching this year end, now is the time in this last month. We just went through Giving Tuesday. You had Thanksgiving, you had Black Friday, you had Cyber Monday, you have Giving Tuesday. As you know, we got a letter out Giving Tuesday for people to remind people to do this. And it's, as we're heading into this, anybody out there wanting to make a donation before year end, and talk to your accountant, see what you can do, see what's tax exempt, and then think about Elm Springs, think about Sons of Confederate Veterans. As I said, we're going to be working on this. Yes, sir.
I just want to ask Moose to you can remove that Confederate Legion banner and put the Friends of the Museum up if you got it. There you go.
Sure. Yeah. And, and while it's up and while you mentioned it, let's go ahead and talk about a great Christmas gift. There's probably this guy that's in your family, somebody that's awfully hard to buy for. How about Friends of Elm Springs? How about Friends of the SCV? How about Friends of the Confederate Museum? Go, and while I'm talking about it, I'm gonna go ahead and mention the gift shop. As you know, today's December 1. Are you prepping for a Santa gig, Commander? Okay, this has already been mentioned. I've already been told to not wear red. But if it pays the bills,
there you go.
Never look a gift horse. Isn't that what they say? And I forgot where I was going when Charles LeRae said that, because it got me to thinking about the Santa. I was talking about everything Santa coming. When we look into the gift shop, because right now, if you want to make sure, get on there, go to the gift shop, go online, go and shop. go ahead and do it. And because, make sure that you have what is in stock, because merchandise that we do have, it is flying off the shelves. We are doing really good. And yeah, sell some good books, I am told. And you know what? I'm wonderful with the shameless promotion. And while you're at it, I'm going to make one of the coolest books that I have seen that has come out recently that I've been anticipating for is Dr. Michael Bradley's book. That is it is a book. Why am I forgetting the name? I bought the book and I got it over there on the counter. I haven't read it yet. It is the last words. That's the name of it.
Yeah.
And it is the last words that commanders have said over the years and through the wars and through time. And that book is in stock. As I was in there the other day, I saw that they had a bunch of them in stock. And I don't know if you've heard about a couple of fellas, Kennedy twins. I don't know if you've ever heard of them or not, but the Kennedy twins, they have some books that are in stock, and there's a whole lot. The last words, yeah. So there's a lot of things in there, and go get it because you want to. Reason why I want to mention it is shipping. As you know, sometimes things arrive on time, and sometimes
They don't.
things don't. Go and who knows? I hate to see us sell out of something, and I hate to see us sell out of the South Was Right books.
Please, no.
So it is, but keep the museum in mind. And since we're going through that, I'll go ahead and mention a few things the museum has coming up. As you know, right now we have the home tours that start tomorrow. They're going to be going from 9 until 4. Then on Sunday, we have a memorial service. It's always the first Sunday in December. It is at the statue of Jefferson Davis. So that's going to be going on Sunday at 2 p.m. I'm not the keynote speaker, but I'll be there saying a few words. I'll also be at the house or the museum on Friday and Saturday. I understand our Army of Tennessee Councilman Carl Jones is going to be coming up visiting with us on Saturday. He's going to be at the museum, and we're having our brigade Christmas party, and AOT Councilman's going to be our keynote speaker for that. Let's see. Yes, and on that was what I was trying to run through my head. See if you had that picture. There's Santa. Now there's a real Santa, but now that Santa is an SCV member, and he comes out and does this for us every year, and that will be pictures. And if you scroll through those pictures that I sent you, Moose, you will see a couple of them where there's a big green chair sitting there in the conference room, and that is where, yes, that's where the pictures are going to be this year. Last year they were out on the side of the museum. This year we decided to move them inside. Want to have a different background for any of these things. Last year we used the sled or the sleigh, and right now, okay, and Jimmy Hill is going to be at the museum on Saturday afternoon. I didn't know that. That's cool. No, thank you.
Good, Ed. Good,
Ed. There
Ed.
you go. Set it up and make that monthly donation. Thank you for that. Last year we used the sleigh, and there's a picture I took of the sleigh sitting out in front of the museum. I actually took that picture today. So if you come to the museum, this is what you're going to see. That's the sleigh from last year. This, we're trying to give it a different background, not do the same thing every year. And I think this is a good thing. I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, and we make it through the new year. And as everybody knows, we start heading into Lee Jackson's, and there's a bunch of those that's going to be going on. I'm speaking at I think 6 of them this year. But let's talk about everything that's going to be going on at Elm Springs. We do have a few national events that are going to be coming up. One of them is going to be in April at Stone Mountain. And I'll go and mention another national event that is not in the books yet, but one that I am really leaning toward and really hoping. November of next year is going to be the 160th anniversary of the capture, trial, and execution of Sam Davis. So we're talking about making that a national event in which we go to his capture site, the hanging site, and then come to the home. We're talking about making that a national event. And I'm hoping that we're going to make, and I haven't confirmed that one, and I haven't confirmed this one here, and that's about making the march, the death march at Franklin, made a national event. Might not have an opportunity to do it this year because it's 159th anniversary, but pushing it to next year at the 160th anniversary, making that a national event. But that's just some of the things that National is looking at doing and promoting. Also, I want to remind everybody the first weekend in May is going to be the pilgrimage and homecoming. That's going to be on May the 6th. Talked with Adam several times over the last couple of months about events out there. We had good luck with the one concert that we had. Even though the weather was not good, we still had a pretty good turnout. And people showed a lot of interest in the home and the museum. So right now we're looking at booking 5 to 6 concerts next year. And also the thing that probably garnered us the most attention from non-SCV people was the car show.
Right.
The car show was an absolute huge success. You're talking about gearheads, and here they were walking through the museum and seeing everything that we have. And now it's going to be changing a lot, and they're going to come back. Right now, we're talking about maybe doing 2 shows next year. So that's where we are. Our work is working to get people there. Look for more events to happen. You go, sir.
All right, I was going to tell you we're at 7:38. Moose, I don't know if you need to take a commercial break or anything. If so, let us know, and we'll be quiet for a while and let you do that. And I don't hear anything from Moose yet, but I would like to see if I could talk just a minute, tell everybody some of the good things going on in the Confederation.
Yeah, I want you to do that. Yes, sir. It's yours.
I was just a Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief, Donnie Kennedy, got me in touch with the folks up in Virginia, and they are running some ads. They and the folks in North Carolina, 2 different camps, are running some radio ads. And Moose, if you have those radio ads, I want you. These are short, 15-second radio ads, and this is a great example of a soft sell of the SCV reaching out into the community. They've been running these ads. Moose, can you get the sound up on those ads? These are radio ads.
Kind thoughts and good fellowship from the old story of the Christ child who brought peace and goodwill to men. The Bat Ransom Camp Sons of the Confederate Veterans of Weldon, North Carolina greet you with the wish that you and your family have a blessed Christmas and a year of prosperity.
Wow.
There's one more.
Kind thoughts and good fellowship from the old story of the Christ child who brought peace and goodwill to men. The Old Brunswick Camp, Sons of the Confederate Veterans of Lawrenceville, Virginia, greet you with the wish that you and your family have a blessed Christmas and a year of prosperity.
Now, these folks did that on their own. They didn't call National and say, what can we do? Or what are y'all doing for us? And why don't y'all do something and help us? No. And listen, these folks have been doing this for, 2 or 3 years. They were one of the first to go with the Confederate Legion and start running radio ads. And it's so very important. This is not a radio ad saying we're not bigots, we're not racist, or we're not rebels, we're not trade. No, this is just a very simple, straightforward, smooth, touching radio, 15-second radio ad that people in the local community hear about Christmas and the Christ child and the Sons of Confederate Veterans. I mean, this is the way we get our narrative out to our people. And listen, they ran about 100 of these for $2.95 an ad. And the local radio station cut the ad for them. They didn't have to go off somewhere else and pay someone to do it. Now, there's no guarantee the one in your area will do that, but it's certainly worth checking into and seeing. And of course, different radio stations will have different costs. That same ad, even if it would run on WWL in New Orleans, would cost about $150. So, that's just a difference in the size of the ads and that all that. But it just shows you what can be done. Now, also, the folks in Virginia are working to and they're raising the money to put a new monument up. We cry about monuments being taken down, and we should fight the taking down of monuments, but they're looking to put up an obelisk in the Hollywood Cemetery in Richmond, and it's after their camp namesake's gravesite. And so they've already got about half the amount needed, and they've gone through the proper paperwork. They've got the permission to do it and all of that behind. I mean, this is the way we change the narrative. Plus, once you get that obelisk put up, they're going to send out a news release. They're going to put it out in their social media. This is the way to get things done, to reach out and touch the public. And that's what our job is. That's what the Confederate Legion's main emphasis is. That's what the museum's main emphasis is. That's what Commander Jason's main emphasis. We've got to get our message out to the world, out to the people. And I think they said their obelisk is going to cost them about $30,000, and they're about halfway there to it. Now, I can tell you another little thing. You want to talk about the one-click politics?
Let it go.
You want to talk about it? You want to let Kennedy talk? That's dangerous.
You know what? I want Mr. Kennedy to talk about this because Mr. Kennedy brought this to the table, and I want to give him credit for what he has done here. Mr. Kennedy, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, a lot of, and of course, I had a call today or yesterday from the division commander in Alabama wanting to know about the one-click politics. They were gracious enough to invite me to their division executive council meeting. I made a presentation, and great folks in Alabama. And by the way, this is off. Hey, there's yeah, Carl. Donald paid you to put that up. I want to know how much you charged him. But at any rate, there's one camp in Alabama, and I apologize, Alabama folks, because I didn't get the name, and they did something. This is not one-click politics, but if I don't tell it now, I'll forget about it. They have raised several thousands of dollars for a local charity. I don't know if it's an orphanage or what. And they do this every year, and they get it out in the media, and I want to get it out even further. But this is such a wonderful thing for that camp to do, and the world needs to know about it, especially the people in the local area. And I think they're not, the Bible says you don't light a candle and put it under a bushel. Well, those folks aren't doing that. They're getting the word out, and that's what all of us have got to follow up with, getting involved in the community. Now, back to the one-click politics. We finally got it, the invoice paid. I'm setting up, and I've been talking. I was hoping to get it done today, and I never was able to get with the trainer. We're going to do a Zoom training, and I'm trying to set it up for next Tuesday. And that's for somebody at the headquarters to be trained, and a few other people. and this is sort of like purchasing Excel spreadsheet. For those of you who know Excel spreadsheet, the first time you bought it, well, buying it ain't enough. Well, we bought one-click politics. It's sort of like buy an Excel spreadsheet and having never used it. Well, you've got to go through some tutorials and some training to learn how to use Excel spreadsheet. Well, I started out way back with Lotus 123. I mean, that tells you how old I am. So you learn as you go along. But so we're in the training process, and once we get all of our questions answered, we're going to get to where we can get down to even to the state level. This is totally populated with all the email addresses. So when we send out something from, say we want to contact the people in Washington, D.C., the senators about the Arlington Monument, we can send out our little verbiage, and we'll be very careful and make sure the verbiage is correct. And we'll get folks like Ed Phillips to help us, and Jason, and everybody will get their chance to look at it. And sometimes we have to go faster than that, but we'll have everybody look at it, and we'll put that out and through telegraph tell all of our members, get this, take this. All you got to do is go on and put your email address, your zip code, and it'll automatically populate your senators, both of them, and you just push the button, one click, and the message is done. If we can flood the Senate and the House with thousands, now listen, you don't have to be an SCV member to use this. So if you've got your wife, she can send it too. Your son, daughter, they can send it. Your mother, father, they can send it. Your neighbor across the street that sort of likes you, what you're doing, they can send it. There's no reason in the world why in one of these cases we can't flood Washington, D.C. with 30 to 40 to 50 to 100,000 emails. And that's our game. Now, that's on a national level. Now, they also said, and we're going to find all this out in the training session, they said we can also do it for the state. So let's suppose the state of Missouri is having a problem. Their legislature is trying to do something that would harm our heritage. Well, we can set up the one-click politics and then give it to the division commander give the link to the division commander in Missouri, and he can send it out to all of his members and flood the legislature with these messages. So it's a great way that we can do mass communication. I hope to do it before the national reunion. Will depend on how much money we get into Confederate Legion. I want to do a survey of every southern state about Southern heritage, much like the one Donald and I did for Louisiana, in which we only survey the conservatives, because I don't care what the Black Lives Matter people say. We want to know what the conservatives want to do about Southern heritage. And you'll find out that's going to be between 89 to 100% on our side. And we want to send that to every Republican in Washington and every Republican in every state house and let them know what our people want and what they believe in. And we can use this one click to do it. And we also have another tool, which is the survey company, which we're doing a survey, and we've got a survey that they're working on right now, dealing with Arlington, the attempt there. And if we can get the one click set up in time next week, we're going to send that information out. All of this takes money. All of this is a learning situation, but I guarantee you by the time we get to the national reunion, we're going to be pros at it, and we're going to be able to rattle some cages in the political establishment. There's one other thing that the Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief will be talking to the Commander-in-Chief about, spending a little bit of money to get on with a news service. So they have a list of 3,500 news outlets that we can give this one group, this one organization, our news release, and they can get it to every one of these 3,500. Now, that doesn't mean they'll carry it, but we're going to keep sending it. We're going to keep sending it. They're going to get tired of looking at it, but we'll get national exposure. We'll get local exposure by you sending out our news release like this. So there's a lot going on. We've been working. I know I have bothered Jason, and Donald has too, and Donald and I have been on the phone but there's a lot going on, and I believe that we're at the point that we can really turn this movement into a real, true movement to save our heritage and restore the honor that our ancestors deserve, and put monuments back, put new monuments up, and defend those that are already up. You think I've said enough, Commander?
Oh, I don't know that we can say enough or ever say too much. But I agree with everything that you said. This is one of our opportunities. We know from the one-click politics, because we did that one time. We do know that you can make an impact with that. And there's going to be some things that's going to be coming. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into this. There's going to be some things that's going to be coming your way very soon, and that is, well, I'm sure all of y'all have heard about Arlington. Well, uh, we're looking at a poll. Then we're also looking at the one-click politics, and we're also looking at a letter that's going to come to you from the Telegraph, and we're going to be asking you. There's one thing that we have worked our hardest on, and I want to thank Ed Phillips for this part of it, is to get our messaging correct. You can end up with two cooks in the kitchen, and you can end up with things being said, this group and this group, you don't quite jihad together. And the one thing that you want to do is you want to make very clear about your messaging. And Ed Phillips, in my opinion, has done a fantastic job with that. And I want to thank him for that. So when you get this letter that is going to be coming out across the Telegraph, I very politely ask you to use that letter and to contact the people that are on the letter. You're going to have complete instructions on what you need to do, and who you're going to need to contact, who you're going to call, who you're going to need to email. And yes, I did say call. There's going to be some phone numbers that we're going to be asking you to call, and to call those numbers. And there's going to be some things in there that we're not going to put words in your mouth. We're not going to tell you what to say, but there's kind of a script telling you about what our messaging is, and to follow that as close as you can. But we're not going to put words in your mouth. We're not telling you what to say, but we want to be very clear, because as right now, this removal of this monument in Arlington, I can tell you, and Mr. Kennedy can tell you, this has lit a fire, and it has lit a fire under a lot of people and a lot of different organizations. And there's some of them that are going off in different directions. And that is the reason why we want to be very clear and precise about our messaging. In fact, we need to, from here on out, we need to be very sure about what we put out there. And this one-click politics is going to be part of this. And the polls that they are talking about doing, they're going to be a huge part of that. Because when you put the messaging, part of the messaging is in a recent poll is how the message is going to be. So we're going to be using all of that. So prepare for that coming up. You're going to get it very, very soon. Today's Thursday. Hopefully we'll get everything worked out, and this coming week is going to be a very busy, important week for you to handle this kind of information if it is important to you. And you say, what can I do? I'm going to politely ask you to take a couple of minutes and make a phone call, and send an email, and do what you need to on that. One of the things that I would also like to talk about is, depending on how far this goes with Arlington, it could go into a court case. I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying it could. You can go to the SCV website, and you can go into the Heritage Operations Defense Fund, and you can make a donation for that, for all the litigation that could be coming up from this. There have been, reason why I bring it up, there's already people asking that question. because they feel this could go. If this does not get stopped in committee, or we can't get funding cut, and this is going to happen, and litigation is going to happen, then, well, I'm going to be blunt. You're going to have a war chest to fight this. And people are asking, well, where do I send money? Go to scv.org, go into donate, and you click on that donate. You'll see the battle flag and you'll see donate, the word donate. Click on that. That is going to pull up a whole list of things for you to donate. From the putting forest back up, which we're going to talk about in just a second, from putting forest back up to giving to the relief fund. And that's one of the things that we need to remind ourselves, and we'll talk about that in a minute. To give to the Confederate Legion. There's all of these things for you to be able to donate to. So, it's your money. You can decide how you want to do it. But if you think that this is a fight that is worth making, you can put a donation in there for this Heritage Operations Defense Fund. And I wanted to remind everybody of that. I haven't seen Moose pop on here. I don't know if he's gone to sleep or he's fighting.
No, he
demons.
said to keep going. We'll finish up with the Forest Plaza and the Stephen D. Lee and the reunion, and then he'll be finished.
All righty. Which one do you want to talk about? You want me to go ahead and talk about rebuilding the Forest Plaza?
Yeah. Go ahead and do
you
the.
Want me to do that? Okay. Yes, put that up. This is going to be coming out in the next Confederate Veteran magazine. It was voted by the General Executive Council at the GEC meeting on October 1st to pursue the idea of putting back the entire plaza as it came from Memphis, which means it's going to be 50 feet deep and 75 feet wide. It's a pretty good chunk of dirt. Yeah. Pretty good floor plan. Pretty good size. It's going to take up. Looking at estimates on it, estimates are somewhere around $150,000 because we were so good, and I actually think we were really good stewards of when we put when we reinterred Forest. We ended up having $60,000 left over from that, and we're going to take that fund and use it. Plus, there's already been more money donated. $12,000 was donated at the GEC meeting by various camps, and various individuals have made. So it's $72,000 in this fund already. Now, I want to remind everybody, and the flyer is going to be put out there. It's going to go on social media. The Forest Plaza is not going to be rebuilt until the money's there. We can't. If you were at the national reunions over the past couple of years, you know that we can't spend money on things like this. We can't spend money unless it's budgeted for, and we can't spend on something until the money is there. So that's the way it was with the forest and reinterment, and such is the way it is with this. If you want it rebuilt, it's going to be left up to you. This is where I keep talking about the power of one and the power of the individual. And I've heard you say, well, you've asked for money for the museum. You're asking for money for the fight. Now you're asking for money to put forest. You have a choice of who you give your money to. You have a choice of how you want to. There's some people that have said, I've donated to the museum. I'm not going to donate anymore. I'm going to give to forest. And then there's some people that said, you know what? I like the home. I'm going to make a donation for the home. I'm not going to for anything else. I just want the home taken care of. You have a choice of how you want to spend your money. And we're giving you an opportunity to spend your money on whatever your passion is. If your passion is SCV, and we have these different opportunities within the SCV for you to donate to what is important to you. And if putting forest back up is important to you, then also go into scv.org, hit that donate button. It's going to pop up a page, and in that page, there's going to be Forest Last Ride. And that is after talking with Ed Phillips, and who was the attorney for the family, where that was what was decided to name it. There's instructions on it on how you can send a check, how you can pay online, however you need to do it. If you need to make a phone call and charge it on a credit card, but this will only be done when we have the money to do it. And as we get more finer details, we know that we haven't gotten a bid in on what it's going to take to repair the equestrian statue. But once we get that, you'll be notified of that. And I've realized that as time goes, the needle on how much this is going to cost is going to be adjusted. So David Pope, Plaza Grays are the same. Yes, that was what it was decided by the General Executive Council to put up like it was originally done. That's talking about the rebuilding of the Forest Plaza. Do you want to talk about the Stephen D. Lee?
Just quickly to remind everybody, if you got your Confederate Legion newsletter, there was 2 pages dedicated to information about the Stephen D. Lee. Or if you want to, you can go to the website, the Stephen D. Lee Institute website on our SCV website, and take a look for more information how to register. But it's February 24th through 26th, 2023 in Tampa, Florida. The topic is Monuments from Memory to Mayhem. So it's going to be a good talk. It's going to be a good lecture. And this is a very, with the exception of one speaker, there's a lot of scholars there who can really, you'll really walk away as if you've taken a graduate course. This is some good information, good speakers. The only downside, you're going to have to listen to a Kennedy for about 45 minutes. But other than that, the rest of them are real scholars. So I think it'll be well worth your time to be in Tampa, Florida with us in February. And I couldn't think of a better time to be in Florida than during the when it's nice and cold if you're up in the northern regions of the Confederacy. You want to talk to them about the national reunion? Remind them, I'm sure Lloyd Mott and that crew has been real busy getting things ready for us.
Oh, they have. I've talked with Lloyd a time or two. We pretty much have the timeline on how things are going to go start on Wednesday. You can go to the website. You can see it there. First, I want to thank Lloyd Mott, who's a commander of the Arkansas Division. And I want to thank the men of the Keeler Camp that have done a fine job getting ready for this. They have a mega flag that right now they're working to make sure that they get it up in time. Talking with Lloyd, if the weather cooperates and everybody cooperates, it should be up in time for the reunion. As you can see, the dates, July 19th through the 21st through the 22nd. Going to be a great reunion. Hot Springs, Arkansas. Come on out, enjoy. Go ahead and start making plans. You can go to that website, find the hotels. Right now, they had an early registration, and right now they're finishing up their details for the second registration. If you go there now, I went there today and looked, and they didn't have a registration form out there because they had early registration and then late registration. Well, this isn't going to be late, but they had early from last year. Went to national reunion this year. You could go and you could register. So you had that one. Now they're going to have this one. Then they'll have late registration. But go ahead and make plans. Go ahead and book your hotel rooms, even if you can't get registered. Lloyd says the hotel there is big enough to cover everybody, but want to go ahead and get that in because that's generally the first thing that books up.
That's
is
right.
The hotel. So go ahead and get your hotel rooms.
All right, Commander, we're about 5 minutes over time. You have any last parting shots you want to make before we sign off?
I won't make them as parting shots. First of all, I want to we actually worked up an agenda to make sure that we talk about everything that we want to talk about.
I think we did.
And it's because there's a lot going on, and we don't want to leave everything out, and we still want to keep things moving. One of the things that Ron mentioned was the radio ads. And the radio ads tie into this one critical piece, an ounce of prevention. Ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. The radio ads, there's so much you can do to try to get out in front of this stuff and keep it from happening. And all it takes is getting a little involved. Go to some city council meetings. Maybe get your account. To join the Chamber of Commerce. Run these radio ads. There's little things you can do to make sure people know who you are. And if they know who you are and they see that you're doing the right things, like this camp that raised $25,000, I saw it pop up and go across on the comments. If somebody wants to put that back out, if I can't find it, they mentioned the camp that actually did this. They raised $25,000. And I want to mention them because I think it's good. It's the Winston County Grays. The Winston County Grays raised $25,000 for Etheridge Children's Home.
That's wonderful. And
SCV Camp raised $25,000 for the Etheridge Children's Home. Hallelujah, and thank the Winston County Grays.
We're proud
of
you,
gentlemen. I am thrilled of y'all and what you're doing. That is what we should all be doing. Now, I know they did not do this for this ounce of prevention, but because they did the right things, because they did something that we should be doing, the benefit, the side effect, a very positive side effect, is the fact that, well, they probably have allies now.
That's right.
They have people that will say, you know what? No. Those guys are good guys. You don't need to say that about them. No. They raised $25,000 for Children's Home. Come on. What if we all did that? What if half of them did that? What if a third of us did that? Come on. We've got these opportunities. And I think the thing that here we are talking about now, and we're talking about the museum and we're growing it. And then we're talking about everything we're doing with Arlington. Well, some of these things that we're doing is because we're having to fight against, where we're having to do something against. What if we didn't have all of this to fight against?
That's right.
And this is where this ounce of prevention comes in. And I want y'all to please take these guys from Winston County Grays and meet any of them, shake their hand, and thank them for what they did. Because not only did they do God's work, and they did God's work, they also did what a Christian would do. They would do what a human would do, and they would do what their ancestors did.
That's right.
And they reached out and helped. How many of them helped the infirmed and the children and the widows? And this is exactly what they did. Winston County Grays, what their ancestors did. Thank the good Lord for the men of the Winston County Grays. Thank y'all. I'm proud of you. And did you want to say something?
Well, if you're finished, I'm going to just wish everybody, are you finished? I don't want to.
I'm going to say one last thing. And this is my last thing. As everybody knows, we're entering this time of year where the holidays are going, but there's also a lot of sick people out there. As you know, Amanda, I think a great deal of Mr. Ron Kennedy and Mr. Don Kennedy, they had a loss in their family. And my thoughts and my prayers go with them. Harold Bowden, a gentleman that I think very highly of out of the Alabama division, lost his mother. These are things that, and we need to remember those that have lost loved ones. And we need to remember those that are sick during this time. But who we also need to remember also the caregivers, because the caregivers are the ones that are right now facing an uphill deal. And be with them, think about them, and take care of them, and pray for them. We can all close our eyes for a moment and say a quick prayer. And as we go through these times, next time I talk to y'all, it's going to be after New Year's. And I just want all of y'all to have a safe and happy holiday. Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. You're going to read some stuff in my articles coming up. Be the kind of person you always hope to be. And at that, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy, thank you for hosting this. You've done a fantastic job.
Thank you very much, Commander. It's always an honor to be on with you. And I want to remind everybody the first Thursday of January, that'll be January the 5th, we're going to have the Commander-in-Chief back, and we're going to have a lot more going on. Hopefully, we'll have a lot of positive things to report back. And we do appreciate it. I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. Remember, Christ is a reason for the season. And so in all the joy, make sure you go to church and you do the things necessary to keep the strong Bible Belt Christian tradition strong in the South. We are probably the last hope for this nation as a Christian nation. And I think the revival can start in the South and spread. Lord knows it may even spread to California. You never can tell. The day of miracles is not completely over. But I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and thank you very much, Commander and Moose. With that, we are finished.
Merry Christmas. Oh, yeah, he's going to flip through a few of these pictures I sent him. Yeah, that's a Christmas tree that is inside the museum. Yeah, and I do wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and I do hope everybody has a New Year. I actually took that picture today. That's the dining room as you go in. And also, Moose, just keep on flipping, brother. You're good, man. That's just some of the Christmas decorations they have up. That's going into the twin parlors. That's actually the men's parlor. Yeah. I tell you what, it's a beautiful home we have there.
Yeah,
it really is. Started in 1835, finished in 1837. Is that Sir Moose? If it is, take us away. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.